Now, if there's ever a column here that I want to break up into two separate columns, like let's say here I have first name and last name, instead of putting it in one cell, I want to have the first name column here and the last name column here, break them up. You can watch my training video on converting text to columns without formulas, because in this training video we're going to use formulas. It's not as efficient as the other training video when it comes to breaking up a column like this, but it does have some other practical uses that I'm sure you'll figure out once I show you how to use these functions. I'm going to be using a combination of functions. I have two that I want to introduce you to, is the left function and the search function. First of all, let's talk about the left function. I'm going to go ahead and click in an adjacent cell here next to the name column. And in short, the left function, what it does is you pick a cell that you want to look into, and it looks in the leftmost part of the cell. And in the left part of the cell, it begins with the letter M max. All I have to do is, after it looks in the leftmost part of the cell, is to define within that left function how many characters I want to return. Maybe just 2. So it would be like MA, or maybe 3, MAX, or 4 or 5 to include max, and then KL, and so forth. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and type in the equals sign on the keyboard, and then type in LE to begin pulling up my functions here. I have left and len. I don't want to use len, at least not yet. And I can use my up and down arrow keys to select one of the functions here, left, and then you can see it gives me a little description of it. It'll return the specified number of characters from the start of a text string. So it'll return the specified number of characters as I define it at the start of this case, cell C6. So let me go ahead and, instead of finish typing, if this is selected right here, all I have to do is hit the tab key and it'll automatically fill in the rest of the function. And then it gives me the syntax down below, the completed syntax that I will use as a template. So when it says the next step is I need to type in the text, it's actually going to be the cell here, C6. So I'm going to type in C6, automatically selects the cell. So what it's going to do right now is going to look in this cell here, C6, and the left part means it's going to look in the left part of the cell, and it's going to do that starting with the letter M. Next in the syntax, I'm going to hit comma, and it bold here is the number of characters I want to return. Well, I have a total of, looks like, well, 3, 4, about 8 or 9 or 10 characters for the full name here. And that's including the space in between those, because the space is considered a character. I just want to return the first 2 characters, okay? So I'll just go ahead and type in the number 2, and then hit enter, and it brings back MA. Now if I click in the cell and I hover over the lower right hand corner and I click and drag the autofill handle, automatically copies in that formula or that function to the remainder cells, and again you can see it's just pulling in the first 2 letters of everybody's first name. And again, that's because in the left function, as you can see up here in the formula bar, it looks in the leftmost part of the cell, and as it looks there, it's saying, okay, what characters do I want to return starting in the leftmost part? The first 2, the first 3. I mean, I could change it up here and say I want to return the first 4 and hit enter. Now it returns BOB and also a space. Maybe I can do 5. So there's 4, BOB, space is 4, and then 5 would be A, so Bob A. So that's the left function. Now I want to introduce you to another function. It's called the search function. Let me go ahead and click in this cell here, E6. And what the search function does is I define a cell that I want to search in, okay? What it does is it goes through that cell and it counts up the number of characters within the cell until it hits its first obstacle. In this case, it's going to be a delimiter, and the delimiter, as you recall, can be spaces, commas, semicolons, things like that, and it's going to be a space. So to get started, I'm going to hit the equal sign on the keyboard, type in SE, and then I get my 3 functions here. I want the search function. You can see here it says returns the number of characters at which a specified character text string is first found. Well, the first specified character text string is going to be the space. So let me go ahead and finish this off and hit the tab key because it's selected right here. When you hit the tab key, it pulls it all in. And then I just need to make sure that I follow the rest of the syntax as outlined below to finish filling in my function here. Okay, first of all, what text do I want to find? I want to find the space, okay? So to find the space, you need to do open quotes, hit the space bar, and close quote. So it's going to look in between those quotes, whatever character I put in there, and the character I put in there was a space. Go ahead and hit the comma. Let's move to the next part of our function here. Okay, then it says, okay, you're looking for a space. Where are you looking for this space? It's going to be within what text? Well, it's going to be in this cell right here, which is C6. Then hit the comma to move to the final part in our syntax here, which is the start number. Now this is interesting because the starting number is like, what number do you want to start with, or how many characters would you like to pull in before it hits that breaker, this delimiter, the space? Well, if I type in 1, it's going to pull everybody in. If I type in 2, well, everybody has at least 2 characters within their first name, so I'm fine. If I type in 3, we're fine. When I hit 4, I'm going to get some errors because Max only has 3 before it hits the space. So I want to type in the lowest number, which is 1. So I'm going to go ahead and type in 1 so I can pull everybody because everybody has at least 1. And so when I type in 1, I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And there we go. It gives me the number 4. What that's doing is, again, the search function is coming over in this cell, and it's saying search for everything, all the characters up until it hits that delimiter, that space right here, and give me the exact number and return it. So if you look at Max, there's 1, 2, 3, and then the space is 4, so it gives me 4. Now if I click here, and I click and drag the autofill handle to fill in the rest, let's look at a few others. Let's look at 7 here. Clancy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the space is 7, okay? Now, let's take a look at both functions. We have our left and we have our search function. The left function is going to return, counting starting with the leftmost part of the cell here, and it's going to pull me back the number of characters I want returned. And in this case, you can see up in this function here, it's 2. This one will actually count up the number of characters there. So if I combine these two functions together, that way I don't have to worry about how many characters make up somebody's first name, because here I have to worry about it in the left function, and that's impossible to figure out. And in the search function, it doesn't bring me back their characters, it just brings me back a number. So if I combine them, I should get the exact result I want. So let me go ahead and right click on the F column and insert, and let's combine these two together. In fact, they're called a nested function. I'm going to first start with my left function equals, because the basis of the left function is to actually return characters. I don't want to return numbers, so I'm not going to start with the search function, I'm going to start with the left function. Now because left is selected here, I'm going to hit my tab key to pull it completely up. What cell do I want to search in? Well, it's C6, right? So it's looking in that cell. Then I'm going to hit the comma, and it says, what are the number of characters you want to return? Well, guess what? This search function, when it's completed, it gives me the number of characters. It gives me 4, 4, 6, 6, you know, everything that includes right up to the space. So if I go ahead and I nest that search function here, then once it has its number here, the left function looks in cell C6, finds from the search function that's going to be here that it has 4, and give me the total amount here, the 4 characters, MAX plus the space. So let me go ahead and continue on with the search function here and type in search, and you can see it pulls up the function down below. Let me hit the tab key to pull it in, and then go ahead and find the text. The text I wanted to find was the space. So open quotes, space, close quotes, so it just looks for everything in between the quotes, comma, and then again I want to look in cell C6 because remember the order of operations you learned in algebra. First thing comes first. Well, the first thing in this function, in the left function that it has to look at is this nested function. It'll perform the calculations there first before it can continue and perform the outer function here. So there's the order of operations. So we've got the space when it finds the space, and the space it's looking for is going to be in cell C6, so I go ahead and hit comma again, and I want to be able to start with the number 1 at the very basic. Everybody has at least one letter in their first name, okay? I don't want to go 2, 3, 4, or 5 because once I start increasing those numbers I'm going to get errors, especially with Max when I hit up to 4 or 5 because Max only has 3 letters in his first name. So 1's a given. Then I'm going to go ahead and close that parenthesis, so I close the first order of operations within the search function. So I have 1 parentheses here for 1 parentheses here. Now I need to close the outer parentheses for the total left function. So I'm going to click at the end here and do shift and close my parentheses so you can tell the difference between the two. The green is for the search and the black is for the left function. So again, nested functions are first of all a function within a function, and later on when I show you how to do a nested if function, it can actually be the same function within a function. In this case, they're 2 separate functions. So it needs first to perform this function, the inner parentheses, and then it goes to the outside here on outside of the parentheses, and with whatever it finds in here, it goes ahead and it calculates the left function there. So let me go ahead and hit enter. Looks great, doesn't it? So instead of just giving me the text here based upon how many characters I wanted to define, which I did in left function 2, it gave me the actual full first name. And instead of just pulling back a number, it actually gave me the characters. So combining those functions together, and let me click and drag the autofill handle all the way down so we can see what it looks like. Fantastic. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, as soon as I upload a new video, you'll be notified instantly, and you can do that by coming over here and clicking on my face. You can also click here to support me, so for $2 a month, you can have access to over 2,700 training videos, all ad-free, and for a few bucks more, you can have access to my exercises, instructor notes, quizzes, certificate of completion, and a whole lot more.